All right, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's September 19th. I just wanted to spend a few minutes here talking about a few things that are going on with the HOA. As many of you know, the HOA meeting was canceled yesterday, and there wasn't going to be a quorum of directors, and that's the reason why. Couple things to discuss regarding the golf course. In a few weeks, we'll be aerating the greens. We'll be punching them, and that'll be probably about a day and a half of the course being closed. So we're getting ready for that. Once we finalize everything, equipment and all that, we'll be letting you know. The greens have to be aerated because of the health of the course, but especially the greens, because you need to get air, water, moisture, and fertilizer to it. And because of the traffic, because of the health of our course being paramount and the greens being paramount to our success and people's playability factor, it happens, everyone does it. So we're trying to coordinate that with some of the other courses to ensure that we're not closed when they're closed. Some are going to be closed much longer, I think like a month. Some are going to be closed like a month. So that's that, and we're going to be getting back on it. The course is looking fantastic, as many of you know. I'll be posting a video of the course and some of the other testimonials that I have. It's just been so busy, like crazy busy, with everything going on. It's absolutely insane. So budget, we're in the process of finalizing the 2020 budget. As you know, we don't have a ton of stuff to go off of, but we do have like the last 8 months. And so, with some, forethought and some, calculations, I think we're gonna have a really good budget for next year. No assessments of this year, contrary to what some may have told you. And there doesn't appear to be, although the board gets that decision, doesn't appear to be from the financials I'm presenting, and need to raise the dues. So that's probably good news for a lot of people, considering what you were told. Those of you that are new, you can disregard that, but for meaning if you're just moved in about a year ago, then this may not be fresh on your mind. But considering what was being said and what was going to happen, that's not the case. So I want to go over a couple things really quick for everybody, so that way we have just kind of a calibration of what's happened over the course of a year, because over and over again, and I always appreciate you guys reminding me, not everybody knows what's going on, and not everybody's been here long enough to understand that. For those of you that haven't, thank God. For those of you that have, and fighting hard for you and for everyone, myself and family. So and we're winning, and we're going to get through this, and we're proving it. We're exceeding expectations. And what happened was, we had a management company here for 25 years. They weren't doing the job that they were required and obligated to do, so they ended up leaving. And I want to stress that they ended up leaving, and if I didn't say it twice already, they ended up leaving. And a lot of money that was put into buying stuff that we already owned but was stolen from us is, it's tough, but we're still able to do that, and we're very fortunate that we can do that. That being said, I want to make sure that in the process of moving forward, we're accounting for everything that was stolen and all the things that we had to replace. And they broke into the back window of our warehouse. They took chemicals that we have specifically have to be guarded and are considered toxic, and they proceeded to poke a hole in it, dump it, and put it all over the property and even into the creek. And that's the kind of thing that was going on. We called hazmat, we've called state ag, and we've got that fixed, and we'll be pursuing proper channels for that. So a lot of things have been going on that a lot of the newer people didn't know. So the HOA is now self-managing. I guess, if that's the proper term now. But basically, the board and myself work together to do what's never been done before. And what I mean specifically is we have the pool open year round. We have a new tennis academy who actually pays their rent and provided us insurance and does a great job. And then we have a golf pro who's doing fantastic, and she's brought a lot of energy and a lot of new business our direction. She also handled our summer camp, did a fantastic job there. Cynthia Navis is her name. So if you don't golf, or you want to learn how to golf, and if you know how to golf and you're really good, you're not going to beat her, but she's a really good teacher, so that's a good thing. She's awesome and does a great job for us. And my kids learned how to golf this year, and it was because of her in the summer camp. So she's just awesome. She's a great person. She's a gentle soul. She's also strong enough to crush the ball. Don't let looks fool you. She may be petite, but she is absolutely strong, hitting the ball, and probably even more important, very accurate. She's an incredible golfer. She's won tournaments, all kinds of stuff. So she's a pro, LPGA pro, and really and truly happy to have her with us. And then we have the lake, what we put aeration in. We are going to be continuing to invest in aeration. We are going to weed ourselves away from the, did I say weed? Too much time on the golf. We're going to wean ourselves away from the from the chemicals and a lot of that. And we're doing more of a natural filtration, which is, with a fine aeration bubble system that we have in place now. Over the course of like a 24-hour period, we're turning over, over 10 to 14 million gallons of water. And what that does is that not only moves some of the sediment that's into the lake, it also gets some of it out. It provides oxygen to the fish that are in the lake and other wildlife. And then what also it does is it acts as a kind of like a catalyst for moving nutrients to these islands that we've placed out there. And those islands consist of plants that are going to grow and cultivate roots that help filter some of the bad stuff out. And so we have a company that comes into to the lake a couple times a month, I think, if not more. And what they do is they'll test the water, they'll look at the islands, and they'll see which plants are really benefiting from the content of what's in the water. And so then we kind of will make a gauge based on that as to what else is needed to continue to filter. The benefit that is you're not just dumping a bunch of chemicals, and those tend to treat things on the surface, but they're not treating what's underneath. And because of the depth of our lake being so shallow now, we really have to be cautious and very careful as far as algae bloom's concerned, and fish kill that we had to have when before, because the lake wasn't being properly maintained. And listen, it's a big job, but with Mike, David, and Paul, we're handling it and doing well. So that's kind of the background on some of that, and I did want to bring that because up to the attention. I know some of you heard it before and probably just wasted 6 of your minutes, so sorry for that. But those that aren't there, reach out, talk to myself, talk to somebody who wants to see this neighborhood flourish and continue to grow and do well. The other thing is, I did want to talk about a couple small claims cases. The small claims cases awarded to the plaintiffs for like 200 and change, and the other one was I think $300. One of the individuals is a member of the HOA and has been working actively with the prior management company to ensure they stick around for reasons not many of us are sure about. But is their right? It's not illegal, but certainly questionable in the decision-making department. But hey, it is what it is. So they wanted documents, just so you know, they have access to the documents. The play on the court is right now is that if they show up, they'll get a couple $100. They can come back and brag to their friends that they won something or another. But what they really did was take your money and mine. That's it. The documents that they have, claim they don't have, they have. Proper requests are made, they can get them. If you're planning on suing us, I want to make this really clear. If you're telling us, and I know that you're trying to sue us, we're not going to give you documents that you're going to use to weaponize against your neighbors. I know that there are some people, very few, very few, that want to sue their HOA and want to take money from us. So my job is to ensure that that doesn't happen, and if it does, to minimize whatever damages that they're trying to cause. The other case was very similar. In fact, they are buddy, I believe, and hang out, talk, share information, and so they're trying to work the system in terms of how they can best monetize the very delicate situation we're in. And in one of the cases, the first case I talked about, the member didn't even want money. So, but odd thing is we have yet to hear back about the donation that was supposed to come back, which I don't think we will. And to be honest with you, I don't even think. Anyway, the other one, we actually have a director. That director is being recalled in part because of his actions, because of his words, because of the very hostile environment that has been created with a lot of, I would say, in my personal opinion, a lot of prodding by the by the director. And when we went to court, we were there for about 9 hours, and one of the things that was said is the reason why he was suing, because the judge was very adamant about what's going on, and just asked, what are you suing him for? And the audio, which will be available on, I'll put the audio out for people to read. It'll probably be on this channel, the YouTube channel. Basically, his reply was he wanted to get the board and my attention, or words to that effect. And interestingly enough, I know it's hard for him to believe, but, and a lot of you already know, is you don't need to get our attention. We don't need you to be the focus of our attention. What we're trying to do is pay attention to the court cases that we're winning, pay attention to the forensic audit that we're working on, pay attention to the discovery that we're currently in the middle of, and pay attention to the budget that we're working on, the 8-9 lines of businesses that we're working on, the lake, other contracts that are coming up, the restaurant. We've got a lot of things are moving very positive in that direction, multiple entities, and to think that you would qualify to take up the attention of the board and myself at a time that is so critical, like never before in our HOA, is shameful. Personally, it's ridiculous. And to want to sue your own HOA for $12,500 or something like that. I mean, granted, you got $300, but judge didn't really comment, nor I don't even know if he can, but maybe can, but didn't comment on anything other than he was just going to give him $300, opposed to the thousands he was asking for, or 10,000 plus he was asking for. It's unfortunate, but with the recall information that's out there, I encourage people to talk to people that know what's going on. You can always talk to me. I've said this, by the way, before, and I'll say it again. I have an open policy where if anybody wants to have a debate with me, the only requirement is that we do it recorded, so that way there's no shenanigans being pulled, and it keeps us, honest. Not for the sake that the person or myself would be dishonest in our debate, but listen, we forget what we say, or we didn't mean it the way we said it, or we used the wrong word not knowingly. It happens all the time. I do it too. The key though is to encourage that debate to happen with no editing, run through, and we'll put it up and let the people decide. But honestly, there isn't anybody out there that wants to debate me on the issue, and not for any other reason, and it's not even a braggadocious thing. I live, eat, breathe, and sleep it. And I live, eat, and breathe, and sleep it. Not for me, shockingly, to some, but for my neighbors and for you and for my family, and then for me. This isn't a job that I planned on taking back in December. As many of you know, I mean, I didn't take this job without a lot of sacrifice, and I'm not, obviously time, family, but also monetarily. I mean, and it was the same thing I said to the board or anybody at that time, is be more than happy to let a few people see what I was making and what I'm making now. But listen, that is my choice, not your fault. But I'm just trying to put it in perspective is all. I don't want there to be, because there are a few bad actors out there that want to make it out to be something it's not. Well, believe me, there's been a ton of sacrifice, and but I'm happy to do it. I mention it only because I want there to be, for some of the newer listeners, watchers out there, to be some background onto what's going on here. That being said, is, there's a purpose in life, and we have a purpose, hopefully. And I know that there's some people who want to make the HOA their purpose, and those people we want to have. We want them to be a part of what's going on. But then there's others whose purpose is to tear it down. And I use the term, it's like an arsonist mentality. It's like, you wonder, with everything that's happened in less than a year and where we've come, how fortunate we are. And it ain't just me. I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, and on that note, it's a lot of people, and I'm going to get to that, because these people mean the world to me, and I'm going to mention them because I don't. And one of my own self-criticisms, not from anybody else's, I tend to not want to mention names in this type of thing because everyone's hypersensitive. But on the good stuff, sorry, I didn't ask for your permission. But I'm not going to edit this. I'm mentioning you for helping out, and you guys know who you are, and I'll mention just a couple of names. But anyway, that's where we stand as of right now. Understand that when a director is out there trying to tell people, well, I'm suing you to get your attention because you think you're entitled to things that you're actually not entitled to, and you want to go back and try to blame a dues increase on something a prior board did, and then levy that against us at this time, the amount of selfishness is incredible. I mean, at a time when so many are being selfless, we have just a few people who, know for all that it's worth that the most important people in their life is themselves. And that's a shame, but it is what it is, and we'll deal with that. I'll do a little lighter note, which is the people who have gone out of their way to help us. And in particular, one of them is Steve Maturo, who also doubles as my neighbor and sometimes a friend. But now he's a good guy, and he's absolutely dedicated an immense amount of time and equipment, his own. He's bought a hedger that I needed bought. He's gotten fuel when we needed it for our machines. He's working to fix the pump, taking the pump in to be fixed to get a new carburetor. He's bringing the pump out there. I mean, he's helping out so much with so many things. And Steve, I really, really appreciate your selflessness and your desire to make this place better and work so darn hard. Steve laid down about, I would say, at least 10 to 15, well, around 10 tons at least of mulch for us too. Back-breaking work. I know, I was there. I've got video. And funny enough, we had a good time, but it's hard work. There's no doubt about it. And we're doing it because we can. We're doing it because we want to make a difference, and we're doing it because I think it's who we are. But it's also, Steve is a selfless guy, and he's given a lot, and I want to thank him for that. And then there's many of you who are working so hard for the HOA as volunteers, and there's Michael Human, who's a absolute great president and a great person, and somebody who cares more than anybody, or as much as anybody, or however you want to say it, about this HOA. And without Michael's leadership and without Mike Human's, now Mike Human, not to be confused with the other Mike on the board, Mike Human is our president. He's the one that wants this HOA to flourish as it's doing, and he's actually the one spending 8, 10, 12, 14, 16-hour days making that happen. Now Mike's got another job. Mike also has some medical conditions. If you ever see a guy out there on like one of those motorized scooters, that's Mike, and he is a tough dude. He is a equally kind and loving and caring person. I will promise anybody watching this, if you meet him, you will like him. That's how it is. That's how he is. He's a soft-spoken guy, but again, he's got a very he's got a very tough nature with regards to his dedication and his mind and what he sees and what he believes. And listen, we bounce things off each other, and he's my boss. So at that same point in time, I feel comfortable that I can discuss things. And by the way, we can disagree, which we often do, but we can move on. We can work together, and we can put things aside. We can negotiate. We can do things shockingly to still benefit this place, even though we disagree as often as we do on certain things. But there's give and there's take, and to work with somebody like that allows myself and allows this HOA to progress in the manner that it has is mandatory. You have a strong leader, a tactful leader, and somebody who cares deeply about this neighborhood and is selfless. The guy spent 8-9 hours in court in agony and pain just so that we could entertain another director who's trying to sue us. And I felt horrible about that, and I even let the judge know. It's just something wrong, with that whole picture. But staying on the positive side of things, it's a pleasure and it's an honor to work with Mike Human and Paul Brownlee and Dave DiNapoli too. But I think they'd also be the first ones to admit, the kind of time and effort that Mike can put into this. Paul and David work, 55-hour weeks in their regular job and still manage to put in a ton of hours to help us out. And they're great guys. I mean, I don't know what I'd do without them. I can tell you there's many times where, I look in admiration at those guys for what they're willing to do and how much they're willing to put up with and do it as a volunteer. Hey, I did it as a volunteer too at a very tumultuous time, but it's different when you're here sitting here. I thought I knew a lot when I was on the board, and what I know now is a tremendous amount. But of all of what I've learned, and what matters to me most about what I've learned is how great, like the people that I work with are, and I'm appreciative of that. And I think that for my perspective, it's a tough thing because damn well that they care and they're willing to put it out there for us because, why else would you put yourself through what's going on? It makes no sense. By the way, that's why most people don't do it unless they have ulterior motives. So, from my perspective, it's a debt of gratitude, because if it wasn't them, then who would it be, and then where would we be? And then you look at it from the standpoint of where we're at, and I'm proud to work for them, and certainly guys that I will, hopefully make proud too, because it's such a monumental task, I think, at times, that the good news is no one has to shoulder that stuff. So you've got people who are willing to do it for you, and that's awesome. I mean, to me, that's the purpose, right? I mentioned it earlier, but we all have a purpose, and it's great. I understand people can't do it. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, nothing at all. Listen, I have 3 kids too. It's I get it. Like, whatever you're doing for your purpose is great. So long as it's not trying to take away from the purpose and the true, real purpose of who we are and what we're doing here. you can not like me or a director or whatever, but for you to question, and you can, I'm not saying that you can't, but for you to question the integrity or to question the motives of Dave DiNapoli, Paul Bromley, and Mike Human is asinine. There's a reason why most people don't want to run for the board, because getting the arrows lodged in their back from people who were supporting them and supporting us is hurtful, but it's who they are, and it's why I care so much about them, and why I care so much about like 95% of the people in this neighborhood. And of the 5 that I didn't mention, I'd say 4.9% of them I don't even know. So but I'm working on that. We get people moving in here all the time. So the key component in this video is to just let you guys know what's going on and why, and some of the things with regards to the small claims cases. The big cases we're going to do just fine. I've said that from the get-go. Dropped one, so we've got one more, and then there's a couple silly ones, but and we're going to be getting money back for that, and we've got a long way to go. I mean, there's monies we're trying to recuperate, and in order for us to recuperate the millions we've lost, we need to. I got well, it's good to have a mix on the board. Well, no, it's not. Not now. It's not, because what's happened is that we need a good mix on the board has created 10 times more work for 3 individuals, one of whom is taking on a tremendous amount of it, and it's actually horrible for the board, and that's been displayed many times. Listen, at this point in time, if you were to ask me, Chris, well, what do you need? I need for the load to be lightened for the board so that I can utilize their knowledge and expertise and guidance more frequently than I can now, because of the fact that they're doing so much for me on the side for our HOA, and to get somebody who is in line and is willing to lay it all out there for everybody here and say, this is what I want, this is how I want to go there. But that has to be, at this time especially, it's not hard. It has to be what's in the best interest of the HOA. If you think that suing the HOA for documents that you think you're entitled to and you already have, or you're not entitled to, that's crazy. Not now, not hopefully never, but especially not now. You have the right to take it to court. No one's going to deny that. You have the right to get your $300. But the thousands, and if not tens of thousands of dollars that have been wasted on just a handful of individuals who, they're going to knock on your door and they're going to tell you lies. They're going to say things that aren't true. They're going to tell you the golf course is horrible. They're going to want to sell your house that's on the golf course, and then put out videos maybe that are telling everybody how horrible the golf course is, that fire the CEO, all of that stuff. I mean, those people, they're toxic individuals, and you have to be cognizant of who they are and what are their motives. What do they say when you say things like, hey, well, we had 2,000, now we got 215,000, that's a 10,000% increase in 9 months. What's so horrible about that? Well, and then they'll try to find something. Careful of those people, okay? Careful of the people who had family working, and then all of a sudden they want to get rid of the CEO because their family no longer wanted to work there. I mean, these types of things, when we run across them, they're very easy to see, and they're very easy to address, so long as those of us within this HOA are willing to talk to people and let them know what's really going on, direct them to these videos, encourage them to come have a conversation, encourage those people who are knocking on your door to have the guts to come sit down, have a very civil conversation and debate, and let's see what you think. But why won't they do that? Why? I mean, they know so much. Okay, great. I could probably learn something. I know I can. I mean, don't pretend to be someone I'm not. There's a lot I still am learning about life and business, and every day should be a learning experience. So that being said, be careful. The boards, chemistry is vital. This shouldn't be national politics, okay? I don't care about your national politics, and outside of just probably offending everyone that's watching this, hopefully not, I don't bring it here. This isn't the place for it. We all have our opinions, and believe me, you don't know mine, even though you may think you do. You don't, because I'm not a subscriber of a single party or ideology or anything like that. I take up things from everybody, from all sides, 360 degrees. I don't even see sides, but that's what, from my perspective, we have to continue to devote time and effort to here, which is leave that political, that toxic political crap that seems to be having invaded, everyone's minds and is at the forefront of everything they're doing, and things they spew at me about saying this isn't the place, this isn't the time, and it's not going to happen here. That I can guarantee you. So long as I'm here, your politics stay at home, where it belongs, and here we're one Lake Lindero. We're not lake people, golf course people like me on a hill away from both. We're the Lake Lindero Community and Homeowners Association, and I'm going to ensure that that's the way it stays. Together we're stronger, and we're going to remain together. It just takes some fortitude and bravery to a certain degree of people to say no. I'm not going to put up with people who want to tear this HOA down for their own personal purposes. That's not what this is about. This is about everybody. Question that. Anybody question what we're doing, the three directors, myself, and say that that's not what it is. And give us reasons. You can't and you won't. Because the true purpose behind what we're doing is to get us back to where we need to be. So the budget will be coming out in a couple, I don't know, I think maybe November. Is that right? November? I think so. Anyway, everyone should have it by then, or December. So like I said, please don't come after me. From my perspective, I'm happy to say I don't see dues being increased. I don't get to say whether they do or not. The proposal that's out there right now is just that. It's the proposal, it's the request, it's the draft. But it's pretty darn close. It's not exact yet, but like anything, it's a work in progress, but we're real close. We're 95% of the way there. So at least I am. So the board will be reviewing that and getting back to me their thoughts. No special assessments, no emergency assessments, although if I was to tell you there was an emergency assessment, that kind of would be counter to what an emergency assessment is, which is, as many of you know, something you could never have planned for. So those types of things we wouldn't know right now anyway. But yeah, I'm happy to report that to you. I'm happy to tell you guys that as of today, I think we have $50,000 in our operating account and $215,000 in our reserve account, and really happy, with the way things are going. And I owe that to you guys, my my friends, my neighbors, my family, my motivations. So that's it. Thank you for your 35 minutes of time. I really appreciate it. And those of you that just caught the end of this, maybe you'll like the other 34 minutes. So you guys, thank you so much for everything. Really look forward to seeing you out there, and talk to you soon. Thanks.